Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Barbara Tien with Projectkin, and I'm delighted to welcome you today to another episode, this first for 2026 for Kathy's Corner. Kathy's Corner, of course, is our longest running series and speaks to the fundamental challenge that just about every family historian has, if they're lucky, and that is handling the photographs and artifacts, papers, and documents that we've inherited from our ancestors. We have the privilege of Kathy Stone, who is an extremely well known, well regarded, and well trusted creative contributor to the photo manager community. And now she's retired largely from that work to turn and focus on her own work. And in the process, has some wonderful insights and questions and direction and encouragement for all of us. And in fact, today we start with a special approach for the new year. So with that, I'm going to back it down and turn it over to you, Kathy. Go ahead, please.
Thanks, Barbara. And I'll say hello to Becky since we've greeted everyone that's arrived today. First of all, Happy New Year, everyone. It seems late to still be wishing people Happy New Year when it's, I don't know where we are, close to the end of January. I guess we're 3/4 of the way through January, but Happy New Year if I haven't greeted you yet. And what we're going to do today, it's a little bit of a departure because we're not going to talk specifically about anything really to do with our photos or archiving or any of those things today. But Barbara and I were chatting, and I thought that this might be a good time to do a little practical together, and hopefully we can inspire each other at what was typically called goal setting. And I wrote a blog that you may have seen. Barbara's going to put the link in the chat, I'm sure, or not in the chat, but we don't want you to read it now. She can put the link in the recording. But I wrote a blog called Goals, Quests, and Getting Stuff Done. And I started off at the beginning of the year, and I'm still on Facebook. I haven't left Facebook yet. And I was reading about in many communities I'm in my photo managers community still, and other business communities from different things I've done. And everyone's talking about have you set your goals yet? Do you have your word of the year yet? Have you done this? Have you got this all set up? And I was like, no, I don't really. And so I thought, well, let's not feel guilty about this. Let's ponder this. And again, I guess it's maybe, I don't know if it's wisdom or just stubbornness coming with age, but I thought, I have never really liked setting goals or picking words of the year because they don't seem to work for me. I don't do them, or I use them at the end of the year to beat myself up for everything that never got done. And I thought, I don't think these are working for me. And so I thought, well, I wonder if they don't work for anybody else. And so I did a little, of course, turned to my friend at ChatGPT. That's my current easy to use instead of Google search AI feature. And I said, what are there downsides to traditional goal setting? And lo and behold, many other people thought there were downsides too, and some that I mentioned. And so I wrote that blog post that I'm not going to go through everything written in there. You can read it if you want. But we thought this might be a good time to talk about goal setting, or as I wrote in there about something that appealed to me, the idea of quests. And mostly I want us to share what we're using. If you're still using SMART goals, more power to you. And I'm not saying that's bad or you shouldn't do that. If they work for you, terrific. Like if something's working, don't change it. Keep on. And if it's not working, maybe there's some other things we could do instead. And the idea of quests really appealed to me. And I sent the note to Barbara and said, what do you think of this? And she went, oh, I love this quest idea. I love these idea of quests. So I'll tell you a little bit about what I'm interpreting quests as, and do what's right for you. This appeals to me. If you go, this is crazy. And is it kind of a semantic game? Yeah, a little bit too. There's a little bit. Are we just playing semantics with what we call things? But I looked at what quest meant, and I looked at all the Google dictionary definitions, and I liked this part. It says it's a search or a journey to find something important that involves effort, challenge, or purpose. And then it gave a bunch of examples. And then I was asking ChatGPT these questions, and I said, well, what's the difference between a goal and a quest? Just what does ChatGPT think the difference is? I have an idea in my mind what it is. And it said the goal is a destination and the quest is the journey towards the goal. And that even struck me even more like what I'm looking for. That, and so it said a goal, and it gave me this example, which kind of freaked me out because apparently ChatGPT has been listening to everything I ask it all the time. It said a goal, example of a goal is finish organizing my family photos. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm a little scared about that. But anyway, the quest is the journey towards the goal. How do you pursue it? Who you become along the way? And so then it gave the example, learning the stories behind the photos, facing emotions, discovering connections. And I went, oh, wow, that's pretty much what I would consider the quest to be. And so a goal answers, what do I want? A quest answers, why does this matter and what will it take? So I like those ideas. And finally, the short one was a goal is something to achieve and a quest is something you live through. So that's how I decided to approach my goal setting for the year. And I'm sure many of you have other ways. And if you haven't set goals yet, I'm only part like the set when I say that's how I decided to set my goals this year, doesn't mean I'm done. I'm, I'm identifying my quests and the challenges along the way. But has anyone used a different approach, or is anyone still using the traditional goal setting? And how is it working for you? This is the open forum part where you talk.
Well, Kathy, I might butt in. Um, I love your quest. I really love that word, and you're saying about it's like a game. Well, I think playing little games with ourselves like that sort of makes it all more fun, and more likely that we're going to think about it during the year. But so I always set goals for decades, really, but mostly around the health and fitness side of my life. But now I do set them sort of with nearly everything. Um, so this year I sat down to set my goals for health and fitness, and I set my word of the year, and that was great. And I've dropped it now, so I'll tell you, it was joy, and I was really quite joyful about having that word. And then I started to think of that word, or any word, the way the world is today, having a word is not really going to do anything because a lot's going to depend what's happening around you as to how you feel. Um, and then I realised, well, my goals as I was writing them out, they just didn't excite me like they do every year. I usually get excited by them. Um, and then I thought, well, I'm going on to 72 now. Usually when we set a goal, we set it a little bit higher than the previous year. And I think where I am now, I don't really care about that. I'm more after continuity than, lifting higher weights and riding heavier weights and riding further distances, that type of thing. I think I'm more interested in just doing it. So I don't know where it came from, but a bit like your quest, Kathy, blueprint just popped into my head. And I thought, I don't need goals, I need a blueprint for the year. So to me, I thought of an architect's blueprint, which really I have no idea what it is, but in its simplest form, I suppose it's a list of things to get a house built, to do to get a house built or a building built.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the blueprint is what I need to do during the year to stay fit and healthy, not reach any particular goals, just stay fit and healthy and keep mobile. So I've written down those things, and really they're only a list. So there's another step to make it more than a list, because you can have a list, same as when you write goals, you can have a goal, but unless you have a way that you're going to, what you're going to do, to reach that goal, or what I'm going to do to make sure I do these things that are on my list. So I scribbled them all down, and, just things like, for example, I go to the gym very early. So, I need to go to bed early the night before, I need to set my alarm, I need to put my clothes out, all that type of thing. And then I thought I need to know what I'm going to do if things get out of control, because I'd like to, I want this to last all year. And I'm very easily distracted. It's just me. And an example is I could sleep in, say I slept in, didn't get up and go to gym on a Thursday. doesn't happen very often, but it has happened. Um, I'm likely to wake up on Friday and say, "Oh, it's Friday. Who needs to go to gym on Friday? I'll wait till Monday." And then, Monday might come and I might think it's a big weekend. I'll wait till Tuesday. And then before you know, a week's gone and out of control. Um, so I've just got little things. If something goes wrong or doesn't happen that I wanted to happen, I write down what happened. And often it's out of control things,
Mm-hmm.
family issues, sickness, that type of thing. So it's not a wrongness. It's not to be wrong for it. It's just something that happened. Um, and I write that down so I'm aware of it, and just write down what I'm going to do to make sure that doesn't happen. And if I thought by doing that I might see a pattern. Um, so if the blueprint shows up a pattern of, say, that example again, sleeping in, a few times more than I would like to, um, maybe I need to change the time I go to gym. Maybe that early morning doesn't suit me anymore, because things change and we change. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I think a blueprint sort of appeals to me because I feel that I can make changes to it as the year goes on. And it doesn't seem stressful. Not that my goals ever seem stressful, but like I said, I'm not looking at the end point. I'm just looking at keeping going, keeping mobile and yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's it. That's all I can think of about that. Yeah,
And I think that's great, Jennifer. I love that because Jennifer wrote a post about it too, which I imagine Barbara will find the link. I forgot to send her that one and put it in the chat, or not in the chat, but in the recording. I'll stop saying that now. I like that. I like for a couple things, particularly talking about when things are out of control, and ideas for what if something happens and particularly beyond your control, because that's something we face a lot. And a little bit of the blueprint of, okay, I can just get back. I've got this down
yeah,
here.
yeah,
Something happens, okay. I'm all, whatever happens, I can't control. I'm not going to worry about it. And that's in the past not worked well for me with goal setting, like SMART goals. Is something happens and I don't get done through my list of tasks, and then I'm like, oh man, I'm like my goals shot for the whole year and I'm not going to get it done, and
yeah,
I failed
yeah,
again. That's a
yeah,
common refrain. And
yeah.
I just went, yeah, you know what, that's not the case. It's not, sometimes it's not reality. And so I really
No,
like that with the to plan for the things that get out of control. And the blueprint, I think, is another good analogy too. And the whole thing of building a house, what do you need? You need the materials and the layouts and the design. So I really like that one too. Thank you,
thanks,
Jennifer.
Kathy.
Does someone else have their idea or how they made their plan for the year?
Marion, you look like you're just
I,
about to burst with a
I
story.
am,
Go ahead.
well, I'm full of it right now. I made a transition yesterday to a new computer
Oh
and
no.
it's just awful. Um, I I have to tell you that the computer I had before I got in 2014. So it's however many years old. It's 12 years old. And so making the I'm lucky to be on Zoom. Let's just say that. And different things haven't migrated,
Mhm.
but mostly they have been. So I think I need a day of no goal. Tomorrow,
Yeah.
no goal at all. But since you're asking, um, since 2013, I've been pretty goal oriented. I started a blog, then I wrote book one, book two, and did a bunch of WordPress blogs. And then I got on Substack about 2 years ago and met so many fine people, you guys among them. And so I'm just going to do the next sensible thing. I think that's what I'm going to do. I used to have goals and I had a word of the year. Oh, I was so precious about it. And I'm just not doing that anymore. I mean, if you do it, it's fine.
Yeah.
I had brave and I had, other words like, well, fulfilled and breakthrough. I had breakthrough one year. I was so proud of myself, and now I just don't feel like doing it. It's not me anymore. So
Yeah.
I enjoy writing, or I should say, adapting some of my WordPress stories to Substack. And I'm finding out new things about my relatives in the process. And you guys are egging me on. I see what you post, and then I say, "Oh, that's wonderful," and I have something maybe parallel to that.
Mhm.
So that's the state of affairs with Marion right now. Just
Well,
tomorrow, I
and
think
I
I'll
believe
just
that
do nothing on the computer.
a day without goals for technology, I had one of those myself. Well, I got a new phone last week, so totally can relate to that. And it's just like, why can't things just go simply? But I think I'd like the idea of a day with no goals when a challenge,
Yeah,
something comes up that it was out of your control. Like you can't,
yeah,
you
Yeah.
have to do it.
yeah.
And
Yeah, a PS here. I do like the idea of you, Kathy, with the quest, and Jennifer, the blueprint. I like those words. I have not heard them before in connection with New Year goals. So I like the words. They sound like more progressive rather than destination, which I enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah.
well, I think they
Thank
just
you
sound
for
more
your
fun.
presence here and for cheering me on and acting as role models in many cases.
Well, and we're looking forward to the quest you go on to convert those um, your other stories over to your Substack
Yeah.
as you
Another
discover
thing,
more family stories.
on the side, I write haiku, I write poetry to yeah, so I think I'm going to collect them all and put them in a collection this year. That was a goal I had, and now I'm just recuperating from the change to a new computer. But yes, I think I might do that. I will make progress toward it. I'd
Mhm.
like to hear what others have to say about quests or blueprints, or maybe there's a new word.
Thank you. Somebody
I
else
have
with
to say,
thoughts. What are
Kathy,
you doing
I
this year?
just I just love the mind switch from the strictly the destination to the journey, to the quest, the recognizing that there are challenges along the way, recognizing that there every hour spent is an hour doing something. And maybe it was not productive. Coming back to the point about taking uh, a day off of goals, I see it as somebody's made a comment about this today. I call it putzing. There are days when I try to do a thing and I don't know if it's going to work or not. I experiment a lot. And I will spend the day putzing and it may fail. And it's okay if it fails because the journey's a reward, right? I'm learning something from the journey. And I do, I think about it, I have a question to answer. It's not a goal to achieve, it's a question to answer
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
this sprint,
Mhm.
essentially. In tech project management, they call this a sprint, and you have a story. So I will go off with a story. For example, why can't I on Substack Live things have a feed that is all the chat? And why can't it appear just like it does in all those YouTube things? The answer is I could, but I now know that in order to do that, I would have to upgrade my hardware. See all the comments about new hardware. I will need to do that. Not now. Um, I have always thought of I have my professional experience was always as a product manager, not a project manager, a product manager. And there's a fine difference because project managers work with product managers to keep them honest, but you're always leading toward the end product. And the product isn't just something, okay, it got out the door, we're done, which might be the challenge for a project manager. But for a product manager, is like there's a whole life cycle to it. Did we make the customer happy? Are there other things that they want to do? Da, 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 da. And so I love the idea of a quest and a journey and questions to be asked along the way that get you there and take you along the way. My case, as I was telling Kathy ahead of time. Almost, I kind of don't count because so much of what I'm doing is about kind of building what we have here as Projectkin, but I have now been thinking about it as two tracks. Some of it has to do with egging each other on in our own family history. Today, this month I got a big gold star for I'm going to go figure out how to deal with WikiTree. Ow, boom, I'm hooked. But also start leaning to the stories that are what I'm here for. To who were these father son-in-law pairs, and they all go off to Ohio together. What was that all about? What was happening? As well as figuring out these wonderful combinations that are possible when you take something to print, take something between media and digital media and analog media, just as we do every day here, in terms of talking about the physical artifacts and the wetware that wanders in to step on things. Anyway, love this topic, Kathy.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Bill, you joined us a bit late, and I mentioned at the beginning, if you are that, just part of what was in my little blurb there was, if you're setting SMART goals, more power to you. This isn't a we hate SMART goals blaming traditional goal setting. So if you've been doing that, certainly share with us how you're doing your planning. That's, I think, important. That for me, it's what fits, what works for you, and if that's working for you,
Yeah,
it's another method, and it's. I just said I wasn't going to teach about it. I taught about it for a long, long, long time in my previous life, so I wasn't going to tell how to set SMART goals. But if that's what's working for you, we'd love to hear about it.
I would say I hear smart goals, and my shoulders start to tense up, and I lived in that world for all the way through my professional world. Once I retired, I said, yeah, those aren't not doing those anymore. I just give myself tasks. I'll throw them up on my calendar. Say I've got this task I need to get done, and I pretty much just try to live in the present. I'm not doing anything that's earth shattering these days. Most of what I do for myself. So, but yeah, I depend on my calendar. That's where I put everything. But I'll just I'll put some tasks up, and today I had to put some videos up on the Genealogical Society website. So I use my calendar to remind me to do it. Spend a few hours this afternoon working on that. Oh, by the way, I should say I'm the real Bill Moore.
Not the fake one now?
Not the fake one. Actually, I think they've already killed him off. Yeah, somebody decided to impersonate my Substack. And
tell me that's spreading to here now.
Why they chose me to impersonate, I have no idea. But Barbara saw it.
Change your passwords.
Yeah, Barbara saw it and let me know about it. But it was really weird. But it was pretty easy to tell it wasn't me. And Substack did actually do it a lot faster than they promised, so that's good. But anyway, that's so that was another little task, sending a note to Substack to say, hey, that person ain't me. But yeah, I'll be keeping my eyes open for others that pop up, but everybody else should too.
Yeah.
Somebody's in playing games. But and I've been through identity theft in the past. Not something I recommend to anyone.
Hardly. Oh.
No, took me a year to get finally get everything squared
Mm,
away on.
no.
I do love that idea of focusing on tasks, chores, story. So you may know this, Bill, or many of you may know this, but in modern software development, it's called an agile system, and then there's variations on that. But they build around the idea that a team sets out to accomplish something big, sets out definitions of what it's going to take to get there, et cetera, et cetera. Then you break down to the day or a week sprint, a story, a task, or a chore. And that to me is lovely because it recognizes that some things like stories are like what I call a question or a challenge or a problem. They take some creativity to solve. A chore is like just shut up and do it. Just shut up and do it. It's like balancing the checkbook or the modern equivalent. Paying the bills. Don't get excited about it. Just do the thing. And then save your energy for the story. And then maybe it's literally writing a story or more creatively finding the larger thing that you're trying to solve. And I love that.
Yeah, I mean,
And
when I was
celebrate it.
working,
Mhm.
yeah, when I was working, I was a project manager, then became a program manager, which just means I was managing several projects. But when it came down to it, you know, you chunked them up. Uh, you know, you, uh, go on Microsoft Project and list everything that you're going to do and when you're going to do it, and just break it down into little pieces. Well, I break everything into little pieces now, but I don't do it toward a some huge overarching goal. I just do what I'm going to do in the
Mhm.
next few days.
It's actually interesting, Bill, because with the whole idea of just going about tasks on a calendar, as after some of you know, I had a little bout with breast cancer in 2022, and I had chemotherapy. And when I finished chemotherapy, I really had something called brain fog, which apparently is not unusual in that an outcome. And I was really struggling. And one of I'm fortunate to live in an area where they provide therapists and courses and all sorts of stuff. But one of the pieces of advice I was given was, like she said, I said, I can't remember, like I have all these things to do and I just can't get started. And it's just like overwhelm. And she said, well, look, so I'm telling her, like, I need to finish this project that I have. Well, break it down into steps. And instead of looking at like this overarching large project, look at the steps and write down on your calendar. And I use Microsoft Tasks now, which was recommended at the time, and I'm still using it, is to write down the tasks. And I break mine into what particular sphere of my life, for lack of a better word, those things are in. And I write down what all the tasks are, and I put them into very small things, so that I'm not trying. And then you can go through them and check a task off and finish something, and then it's gone. And yeah, Barbara loves to tick those boxes off. And so it helps immensely. And that will be part of my quests will be broken down into pieces of the quest will have tasks that need to be done. And it's just I think it's just another word for it too. And
Yeah.
it's, go ahead,
Kathy,
Jennifer.
that reminds me when I was goal setting. Um, so you set a goal for the end of the year, but sometimes you can look at that and think, oh my goodness, that's a big goal, you know.
Mhm.
So if you then have set each goal into a mini goal, very similar to what you're saying. And it might be a monthly mini goal, and it's the mini goal you're working towards, not the end goal. And if you tick that mini goal off every month, you'll get to the end goal, you know.
Mhm.
So um, I think that's always a good idea to break things down into chunks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think in the quest analogy, it's the steps along the way. And I was thinking about quests in terms of Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz was one of the examples. ChatGPT told me that one, but then I got thinking, well, Frodo and Bilbo Baggins and the
Yeah.
quest in Lord of the Rings and all these quests in literature that we have, and you have the person on the quest. There's usually helpers along the way and challenges to overcome, or the quote unquote dragons, which don't necessarily have to be bad things. They're just things. They're those things beyond our control. And I think that's what appealed to me the most, is because I have a few things that are beyond my control in my life that are unpredictable, and they turn up and they go away and they turn up again. And that's always been a hindrance. And so now I'm looking at it more like it's a, it's a diversion. It's I got if okay if this I got to go a different route. I got to take a different road for this, and not stop what I'm doing, which I think is kind of like your blueprints too, Jennifer. Is I need a different
Yeah,
route
yeah,
to get around this challenge in the quest. I'd like the analogy from video games. I wasn't a huge video game player, but my Barbara liked it, I think, because Barbara might have played a video game or two in the past. But my kids played a lot of video games, so I had heard many, many times about quests and dragons and all sorts of things and the helpers that are in the games. And so I think it appealed to me that, and so I thought, well, and here someone's mentioned already, I think Marion, like, here are my helpers. I have helpers with me in my group on Substack and Project Kin. And I can't be remiss without mentioning too the link between the whole idea of projects in where we, hence the name Projectkin, projects in our working on our family history, is that if we have as our goal, I'm going to organize and tell my whole family history, kind of, it's just too broad. So breaking that
yeah,
down into
yeah,
little steps and projects and what you need along the way, and identifying one of the other things for me always when I was coaching people, not on goals actually, was also to identify what they need to learn in order to move forward. And I'm still learning. I'm learning lots. Believe me, I'm relying on many of you for learning all about genealogy and how to research family history, because that's all brand new to me. But I see myself, I'm the helper with what to do with photos and memorabilia and all that stuff. I'm your helper along the way to give a little bit of advice in that regard. And so anybody else? Oh, Linda, you're muted, Linda.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
As the oldest lady, I think, in this group, a project kid, um, it gets a little bit worse as you get older sometimes because I also have a husband that is older and things happen, and you have to put your life on hold lots of not on hold for maybe a day or an hour or whatever. So I'm finding now, I went to over to the Mormon church this morning, and I said to myself, I think I'm going to instead of worrying about back 300 years or whatever, I think I'm just going to worry more about the story of my ancestors, meaning both sets of grandparents that came to Canada. And I
Mhm.
think I'm going to start maybe looking at that more because nobody's interested at the moment in my family. And I think maybe if I started there and they got to know a little bit more, maybe the
Mhm.
story would get more interest.
yeah,
So
yeah.
the lady that was helping me, she's a great lady. My gosh, she would do it all for you if you let her. Anyway, no, she was marvelous, and um, she was getting her degree in family history or something, and she's gotten it. So she said, Linda, I'll be able to help you when you're able to come, more often and stuff. So that's my quest, I think, Kathy
Yeah,
and Barbara and everybody that's helped me along the way with Project Kin. Yeah.
And I think it's a great one, Linda. That's a really good example of it, of narrowing it down from I'm going to look back at my whole family history to I'm going to focus on two people, my grandparents. and then get out, do all of that, and keeps the focus smaller and the scope manageable. And I think that's what's important as because we all have lives to live, and as we mentioned at the beginning, right now, trying to think up a word to go with these times is a little tough. It's a bit of a challenge, but having a focus like that and just the quest, and it's like, okay, then I know where to pick up again if life intervenes and I don't look at it. Like say I can't get there for a week, I can't get there for 3 weeks. Life intervened, but I know where I need to pick it up again. And I think that's really important, more important than my big overarching goal is to write my whole family history.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely beautiful. I think about, we're just exactly talking about chunks, breaking things into chunks for accomplishing a task. But when you really break it down and each story, you can peel back the layers and get to the part that's a hook. That's a hook of a story to be told. If you can, maybe it's a 2,000 word blog post, a 200,000 word tome, or uh, a story you tell over the dining table and the grandchildren remember it. That's what turns it into it. I remember being astonished at how my grandmother's life work was this book, the book of the great family story, which frankly is really hard to read. It's all lots of begats. It's great for all the kinds of other genealogical things, but at the end of the day, I can spot a first cousin because they all say we were related to Betsy Ross, which is not true. It's like one of the basic stories that was, no, that's a myth. It cannot be true. But it's an easy nugget. Such an easy nugget as a story. And that's the hook that pulls people in and pulls people in to see how they're connected, how they relate. And to me, that's also what's so beautiful about what's happening here. And, you guys just said it. It's the nudging. I have all of you to nudge me along. We're on this journey together as fellow travelers.
And so I will share mine because it's not fair to ask everyone else. Please share yours and then say I'm not telling you what I'm doing. Mine's not finished because, as we talked about, me at the beginning of January got working here, and so I don't know, Barbara, did you get my latest update, or because I added a few more things to it, or should I just share my screen?
Share your screen.
Okay. Yeah, to me,
because I downloaded, but I don't know if it was the same one that you had, and bada.
Well, I like to change things at the last minute, Just let me
not
know.
like I've ever done that.
Well, because it is a working thing, I didn't want to.
Exactly.
I didn't want to have a good idea and then not do anything about it. So I had to write it down. Which it's showing on many screens now. Let's try this one. Share. Oh, there it is. Okay, perfect.
There we go. Perfect.
This is what I started with. Sorry, I've got to move all the Zoom things
Nope,
off.
looks perfect.
So I did start.
We don't see those.
Pardon? You don't see them.
We don't see those.
But I can't read what I wrote if I don't. So I started off with, instead of I'm going to do my whole family history, I started off with a focus point of my quest to tell my family stories. The ones that I know first, the ones that I know, the little snippets that everybody's told me. And so then my first, and so this is a kind of a mind map. I used to do these all the time when I designed courses and stuff, and just a way to get all my ideas down. And I did it in Canva, which worked really well. I used to write them on big sheets of paper, but I thought if I do this for today, then I'm going to have to find all my colored pens, which might be a challenge, and I'm going to have to then somehow take a picture of my big sheet of paper. So I thought, let's try Canva. It worked pretty good. So I thought, here's all the things that involve my quest to tell my stories. I'm going to gather them from my family. That's one offshoot. And then I identified some of the potential things I need. I need a place to put them all. And also I need a method to gather them from my family. How am I going to get this from them? How am I going to collect all this? And then part of that. So I'm going to start with photos. I should have started at the top, but that's how my mind works, just all over the place. I'm going to start with my photos because that's what I have. And then I'm going to add documents because I have documents as well. So one of the things I need to do is I need to write descriptions on all my scans of photos to start telling the stories. And that would the story would go with the description. And I also need a place to put all that, to gather it, then to get stuff in there. And part of so adding documents, and then I identified the challenge. Some of my challenges are my health, time is a challenge, and knowledge. And so, did you see arrows going off the page? Because health and time are going to be two other whole, it's like Jennifer's blueprint. My health will be another whole quest with things that need to be done and the tasks separated out for that one. And then, but connected with this, with my knowledge, I need to do some genealogical research. And I want to do one place studies. So it became a place just to collect all the things that I think will help me to tell my family stories and with kind of like not necessarily, I didn't know a linear process, but just with the sort of little side quests that are going to have to happen. So that was sort of what I came up with. And then I checked with ChatGPT and I'm wrong. Apparently there is no, when they ChatGPT searched all the Jason Bourne movies and this quote appears nowhere in any of the scripts, but I swear I got it from a Jason Bourne movie. So I'm sticking with my story, and it's one of the things I try to remember and often forget goes in the health and in everything else, and that's rest as a weapon. And so I thought, well, I'm slapping that. If it's not my word of the year, but it's sort of like my words to live by. But so I did that in Canva. Would not consider myself a high level user of Canva, and it was pretty easy. So that might be. So I'm moving away from linear like goals and the linear to I'm just putting a bunch of ideas around my central quest, and hopefully that'll make sense at some point to me.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to get all those ideas down. And I actually kind of went down a bit of a rabbit hole today doing that. I thought, oh, this is great. And the ideas, once I started putting it out that way, it helped me. So and there's a lot of tasks that go with some of those side quests and everything else, but it sort of will give me the focal point to remember when I've gone off, if I've gone down to I'm deep diving into genealogical research, I can go, oh, wait a minute. You need to focus on telling your family stories. And I think to me, that's what draws me back. And telling my family stories, if I get like I did for Speaker's Corner, I told a bit of a story about my grandmother. So I got a little grandma story told, and that to me is a piece of that quest. That was a quest that I did for Speaker's Corner to talk about my grandmother, and now that's part of her story written. There's lots more. There's things to add and to gather, but there's a little bit written about that ancestor. So that's kind of what I did with mine was I decided to go with a visual, and I haven't done mind mapping for many years, and I don't really know why because I like doing it, but and lots of ways to do it. Pen to paper, and if you have a trouble with linear things, it's another option because then you don't have to figure out linear things. You can just draw arrows back and forth and relate everything. That's a relatively neat one. Some of other ones have been really like arrows and start going all over the place and here and there and back and forth. So, but I thought I'd keep it a little clean for now. So, and also I'm limited on Canva because of the size of the layout. Barbara's going to tell me that I'm not, but I might have to do a second page or something. So,
Kathy, you're
You are
officially
never
smarter than
limited.
ChatGPT.
pardon me, Bill?
That's right.
You're officially smarter than ChatGPT. That quote came from the Bourne Ultimatum.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. I
Just
knew
never
it.
know when the damn thing's gonna hallucinate.
Give you bad information.
Can't always believe
I'm
AI.
gonna I wonder if I can give a little softball here to you, Jane. I find you'll see where this is going, so heads up. I find that as you were describing that mind map, and I love the mind mapping model of free thinking and creativity. When it comes to family history, I find that a lot of times as I wander off on these different parts of a mind map, I'm going to different details about a person, about their situation, about whatever it is. And pretty quickly, I'm coming to place and family tree and documents collected and things like this, which coincidentally is how the archive that I use to put documents into weare.xyz is actually organized for me that way, which has been actually a remarkable relief because I don't feel like, oh, I found this thing. Now I have to go do that thing. No, it's okay. You can park it and then come back to it. And I call on you, Jane, because I'm in awe of what you've done, and particularly to that using that model in terms of leveraging the tool to do what the tool does well, but not letting that stifle you to going about doing the thing that you want to do. Can you say a few words about that?
Yeah, well, I use that platform, as you know, weare.xyz, both for my family history and for my one place study. So I've got the two archives. Well, I've actually got three archives, one for my adoptive family, one for my biological family, and my one place study. But I sort of use that platform more as a repository. So as I find things, I pull it in there. Whereas I use Substack more to pull stuff out of there and put it into a narrative that draws on various aspects of that archive. So I might have under the occasions in the archive, I might have a whole lot of stuff about an inquest, somebody's inquest, for example, whereas in their biography, I might just have a basic biography that links back to the archive. So the stuff's all over the place in the archive. But when you pull it together on Substack as a narrative, you're pulling it in order to tell the story in a more coherent way, I suppose. That's how I use it. Other people use it in other ways because they actually put their stories on the platform, on the weare.xyz platform, but I tend not to. It tends to be more bitsy and a collection of everything,
I
documents,
highlight
media.
that. Yeah. I highlight that as an example because, as you know, I'm a big believer in not not limiting your creativity to what the platform wants you to do. To you use whatever different platforms to do, including inventing your own to accomplish what you want to try to accomplish. And I think it's just also it's kind of I'm nowhere near as productive with it, but that's the general approach that I take of I don't have to force narratives into the platform. I'm using it as an archive that I can link to and control.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's really how I use it as an archive, as a repository for stuff, pulling all the stuff together. Because I have to say, on the subject of goals, I just don't set them. I haven't set goals since I worked, and I've been retired 10 years. And I'm very laissez-faire about the way I go about things. I know that I want to make as many of the ancestors, my husband and my own, visible before I kick the bucket. But I will get to wherever I get to. And I usually know what I'm working on at the time, and I'm not sure where I'm going next. I know who I'm working on at the moment. I have a sort of plan around filling his information. I have 3 drafts around some other information that I researched before that will probably end up being posted next. But where I go after that, I have no idea. And I don't want any idea. I will do what I feel I need to do at the time when I get there. And so I'm the worst person to talk about goals to because I just follow my nose and go where I go.
I love that.
I think you're the best person.
Yeah.
I love it, Jane. And just so you know that every time I do one of these, I learn something new. Is I have been struggling because I was adopted by my stepfather. My mother married someone else, and it was my stepfather. And I've been struggling how to keep the families sorted because I have my my mother's family, my father's family, and then I have this step family. And it's sort of like, and when I start playing around in different genealogy sites, it gets even more complicated for this explorer who hasn't really learned a lot about them yet. So you just gave me a perfect idea. That's just a separate thing altogether. And I'm just like, that just solved the whole problem. I'll just keep them all separate. And oh, so thank you for that. But I love the idea too of just, I'm working on this and we'll see what happens next. And I love it.
Yeah.
Because then we're
Yeah,
not
well, a
constrained
bit
if
like
some
Linda,
other,
actually. I've got, there's living people that I need to focus on too, and you never know what's going to happen
yeah,
next. So it's nice not to be tied down because you don't want to feel like you've got to achieve something by a certain time.
No.
It just happens when it
Yeah.
happens. And
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
more comfortable that way. In fact, I work better that way. As soon as I put myself under pressure, I freeze up and can't get anywhere. And that's why I don't usually participate in challenges. And I'm always in awe of Jennifer Jones and the way she participates in so many challenges. But I can't go there because I would just drive
Yeah.
myself nuts. I would freeze and not get anything done.
Yeah. So that's how my
So I think
brain
that's
works. I
really,
need that thing, to sort
yeah.
of to focus on, or I lose focus. So yeah, we're all
I'm
different, aren't
quite
we?
the
How?
opposite.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But Jane, you just made me think like our goals, whatever they are, quest, blueprint, whatever they are, we can change them, at any
Yeah,
time. I spend all of the holiday period uh, planning out with tracking down the family, what I was going to do, writing drafts of posts and all. And now it's all gone out the window because a few other things have popped up, in regard to that. And I'm not going to have time to do any of that. So, that's going to be on the back burner. So we can change,
yeah.
any time. Yeah, yeah. Although that does my head in a little bit, having to change. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah. Well,
I
because I
call that
don't plan a
creative
lot, it doesn't
composting.
matter because I just hive over
yeah.
all over the place wherever things take me. So I don't have to feel regret at having to change anything. But
No,
yeah, I think it's really important to know you can change things, and actually you're only holding yourself to account for those things. And if you change it, and it doesn't matter.
doesn't matter. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I tend to think that everything that you actually invest time in doing, even if it's a failure, um, goes back into the system to come out in another way. So failing is simply not achieving one thing that you thought was what going to happen. Like I said, sometimes they're just experiments and it's like, whoops, that's just not going to work. And the best thing to do is to know it failed early, but also to know what you learned from that failure that you can apply to the next game, because that's the value, even if it's
And
yeah,
not
and
a
that's another
deliverable.
thing with flexibility with goals, and I'll try and find the link, Barbara, and share it with you as well as because I'm going to do a horrible job of explaining it. But it was comparing the whole idea of goal setting to an experimental process of having instead of linear with the failed, succeeded, failed at the end, it was a learning loop. And it was the same as an experiment where you laid out your experiment, did your experiment, reviewed your results, and then what did I learn from it? And then you moved on. So it was done in a loop instead of a linear thing. And I just hit me as
yeah,
you were talking about that, about the learning part of learning from the part that didn't turn out the way we wanted. I like that better than
yeah,
failed.
yeah, yeah.
Didn't figure out what
Yeah,
I wanted
no,
to.
that's a couple of clicks. That's a big topic in engineering development. A
Yeah.
more modern approach is this constant cycle of feedback and yeah, whoops, that didn't work. Goodbye, just goodbye.
Well,
And
I have someone who's busy working on his master's thesis right now in chemical engineering with a big experiment. So that was kind of at the forefront. I was like, oh,
as long as he's careful about the experiments of chemicals he
Yeah.
mix.
oh no, this is a it's never been good what he does. He's a microbiologist, so he deals with viruses and bacteria and stuff, but not deadly ones. He's working in the environmental area, so could still be deadly, but so it's
Yeah.
almost the end of the hour. This has been great. I've loved, thank you for everyone for sharing your thoughts. And ideas that everyone, we seem to all be kind of somewhere traveling around on the same sort of wavelength as how we do this, or maybe not even a wavelength, but in the same, I don't know, a good analogy for it. But it's been very enjoyable to hear everyone's different thoughts and what they're planning, and I think it's great. So thanks everyone for sharing and coming today.
Thank you so much, Kathy, for taking us on this little side quest to really stop and think about the bigger picture. And it's a great way to take a look at the new year, how we're going to go about it, and make course corrections and generally make sure we're always finding the joy. I love the idea of recognizing the projectedness of it, of a little thing is a contribution to the big picture, to the big direction. And most of all, that sense of a nudge from each other. Projects can be entirely private and don't need to be shared publicly. That's okay too. Doing a story about a living person, for example, but still having a community to be able to share the process with, the progress in, and learn from each other has been a special joy. And you're bringing that together with this kind of a program. Special thanks to you, and to those of you who are new to what we're doing here. It's a delight to have you. Always feel free to reach out to Kathy or myself with questions as we take this forward. And I do have to insert a little comment here. Thank you so much for your very kind comment here in the chat, Kimberly. You've called out asking if I made this. As a matter of fact, it was our very own Linda Tether who made this for me. So it's very sweet of you to say that. It's a special treasure to me. There we are.
Beautiful.
In this
Thank
wonderful
you.
in this wonderful gathering, and so much giving and giving forward and contributing and supporting each other is the glue. Even in doing the family stories and the family research, it's almost not about the stories, it's about the connection of people. And the stories are the hook that pulls us into the connection of people. It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. So maybe that's a good place to end.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Barbara.
It's been a very special moment.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.